This is Melvin Ramon. Let's talk about music. Back at it like a crack addict. Hey, it's been a long time since I've done one of these. It's just been really busy with the state of the world being as crazy as it is, and working 6 days a week. Kind of just come home every night, and I'm kind of beat. Maybe I don't even get to spin the records I've been wanting to, or read a comic or anything. I just kind of sit there and watch some of your videos. Some of you who make them. And, well, I've been wanting to for a week and didn't really have the opportunity tonight to put as much effort into it as I usually do, but I thought I'd kind of knock out a quick one row with just like kind of the pile I was picking from to listen to tonight, and at least get something up there and get something out. Thanks a lot to a couple of viewers out there who've asked where I've been in other videos and so on and so forth. I really appreciate the attention and the thought. I'm doing all right, but just haven't had time for this, and got to get back at it. Anyway, starting off, this is a deluxe edition of my favorite album by Motörhead, Overkill. It contains a repress of the album itself and a double live album, plus a big old book of lyrics and photos and all that kind of stuff. Not too terribly crazy priced for what it is. I also have ones for Bomber and for Ace of Spades. Hopefully they'll keep going throughout, at least the era of the most famous band. Really hoping for a Live at Hammersmith expanded one. That'd be pretty great. Anyway, it's a nice sounding pressing, and I mean, Motörhead is, of course, speed metal, new wave of British heavy metal, kind of punky band from England. I mean, everybody knows who they are. Lemmy was considered by many to be the living embodiment of rock and roll. And great record, one of the most dependable bands of all time. The live album in this is, a little bit better than kind of like a cleaned up bootleg quality. So, there's tons of live recordings of them out there, but it's, great to have, and, it's a nice set for, kind of in my opinion, pretty monumental album. Next up here, this year's release, No, one of, I think, two, maybe three that Boris from Japan has put out. They are an experimental metal band from Japan. I'm not sure what part of Japan. It's on kind of a color there. It's definitely, the experimental streak is there, but this is a little more thrashy than normal. One of their heavier releases. I think one of their best in a long time. I think Anthony Fantano rated it like an 8 or a 9. He gave it a really good review. There have been a number of really strong reviews of it. It's if you haven't heard them, they kind of do something a little different every album. Like I said, this leans a little more on the heavy side. They kind of did some kind of weirder, artier albums for a little while over the past decade. Early on, they became known as one of the prime originators of the drone metal sound, along with Earth and Sun. They've done some other sludge, and kind of for a while they did kind of a metal but also shoegazy kind of thing a little bit before Death Heaven was doing it on albums like Smile and Pink. Those happen to be my favorite. This is another real strong one. They also had a collaboration with Merzbow out this year, where they finally cover the Melvin song where they got their name, Boris, which I thought was a pretty great to finally hear, and it's a good noisy version of it like you would want to hear. Next up here I have By the Fire. It's a new album by Thurston Moore, of Sonic Youth fame. Kind of leans on a little bit of the sort of jammy, loose song structure, lots of guitar playing, similar to similar to what they were doing on Washing Machine, what Sonic Youth did on Washing Machine, also similar to his last album, Rock and Roll Consciousness, which I thought was really strong. I think this is a really good record. Kind of surprised me, but it shouldn't, because I mean, he's was one of the the core members of Sonic Youth for so long, and they're one of my favorite bands. But kind of once the band broke up, you kind of forgot about him, and a lot of people kind of blame him for the band's breakup. So there isn't necessarily the best will towards him in the within the Sonic Youth fan community. But that record, I think, is pretty strong, and I think his solo records have been really, really strong. So. And I think I showed one of Kim Gordon's in a previous video. Hers are really strong too. So I mean, at least we're still getting great records, if not the classic band. Next up here is still haven't taken out of the fully out of the shrink. This is I Flies. It is on Thrill Jockey. This is a noise rock act. Very reminiscent of like Unsane, the heavier, kind of clankier end of noise rock. I Flies is, of course, a Melvin song, so that's a little bit of a hint. But like I said, I think Unsane would be a little better of a suggestion. This is a really strong record if you're a noise rock fan. I think you'll really enjoy that. I should probably mention the title, Tub of Lard. That's kind of a very noise rock, AMRAP-y sounding kind of title. I think it fits. Great record. Well worth seeking out. Up next here is Moor Mother. This is Analog Fluids of Sonic Black Holes. It's a noisy hip-hop record or electronic record with rapping. Saul Williams does a guest spot on it. I think I definitely see some musical similarities there. Very poetic lyrics, but also, sort of dark and socially conscious. The sound is noisy, not necessarily so bombastic. Kind of almost industrial. It was sold to me, I had read about it as being pretty jazzy. I don't know if I necessarily was feeling that, but there's a looseness to it. Moor Mother has also, is apparently doing a record with Billy Woods coming up, which I pre-ordered. I'm super excited about, and there's some other projects she has out. I kind of just recently was turned on to her, and really, really, really enjoyed it. Mike Seatown talked about some of her stuff in a recent video. Yeah, another great one that I've been real excited about. Coming up here, we have the new OK. This is the second record released this year by Drive-By Truckers, Southern country rock band. This very singer-songwritery. They have two key songwriters who, very thoughtful lyrics. Loose kind of country rock sound. I've heard people compare it to Neil Young and Crazy Horse, and other southern rockers. This is lyrically, this was their second release this year. They had a record out. They were going to do an album cycle, but a touring cycle. But of course, that didn't happen. So they made a record. The lyrics kind of meditate on the state of the world right now, and they're a very dependable act. They don't really do bad records. Probably, I think some people think they're sort of past their best work. I think they're still solid every time. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to go see them live again, because they're still out there making good stuff. And speaking of artists that have been around a little, this is Cash Rivers and the Sinners, Bad Side of the Coin. It comes in this die-cut shiny thing. I don't know how this is going to show up on the video. It looks like we're getting a reflection. It's just on black vinyl, nothing inside. This is a project of Robert Pollard of Guided by Voices fame. It is supposed to be kind of a country rock thing also. definitely pretty weird for that. Some of the songs remind me of early Ween. There's actually a Guided by Voices cover on here, covering his own song. It is pretty. This is a pretty good, unique, kind of crazy, wild record, and it's pretty hard to come by. It's pretty limited, and he didn't give it the usual fanfare he gives a lot of his stuff. So speaking of Robert Pollard, I've been a little a little obsessed lately. If you're not familiar with him, he's sort of the core member, sole continual member of Guided by Voices, who've been around since the late '80s. They are one of the, to a lot of people, one of the definitive '90s indie rock bands. Sort of known for being lo-fi at times. The early albums, or most of their famous albums even, were recorded on 4 tracks in the basement. He has done some projects that lean a little more towards a studio sound. Did some in a classic era, kind of with his with the guys he started out with. He's fired them, hired another band, changed members a bunch of times, retired the name Guided by Voices for a while, and was making solo projects and side projects, reformed Guided by Voices, and have been on a real hot streak. I think I've mentioned in some other recent videos, or well, recent for me, a while back, that I've been really enjoying the newest incarnation of the band. They're up to 9 records in the last 3 or 4 years. He's one of the most prolific songwriters of all time. He puts out 3 or 4 records a year, and has forever. There's not just, Guided by Voices itself, and solo records. There are other projects he's got, like Circus Devils. I showed in an earlier video. Is more of a leans more towards the experimental and prog rock influences in his sound. This one is Teenage Guitar. This is just kind of him in a 4-track, back to real raw home recording type stuff. These ones are from Ricked Wiki, which leans a little more on the hard rock side, although also still kind of rougher in the sound. This is Space City Kicks. This is a little more psychedelic. It's one of my favorites of it. Is this another psychedelic one? This is Mirrored Aztec. This is the most recent physically released one. There's another new one called Styles We Paid For that has not been out that I'm aware of physically yet, although it's available to stream. Anyway, I think one of the classic. I actually picked up. It got started on the big dive when I picked up this book, which runs through all of the Guided by Voices albums up to the one previous to this, song by song, breakdowns, and some history of the band throughout it. Anyway, it's kind of what I've been up to musically. There's a lot more too. You get some hip hop, some jazz, on and on. That's what I've got for tonight, though. Hey, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll kind of get back in a groove and do more of these soon. Thank you very much. Have a great night.